How's work?
Oh, we're doing good. We're doing good. Just living the life here in the rump.
You gotta love life in the rump.
It's the best.
So let's talk about tonight's show, which when we initially spoke about, I'm like, okay, great, I've got a dish for that. But as I thought about it a little bit more, I just kind of started getting a little bit like emotional, sentimental, so very un-Sheri-like.
Really?
Yeah, because so we're doing a breakfast themed dish tonight.
Yeah.
Right. So number one, this dish, like whenever my kids are home, this is one dish they can all agree on for breakfast. It's like the first day and probably the third and the fourth if they're home, I make one of these, just a big one, and they're grabbing it and eating it most of the day. So I'm making that. But as I was thinking about it, I was saying it out loud and I'm like, I'm making me a breakfast casserole. And I started thinking breakfast, right? So just for those people out there who aren't, breakfast. So there's a difference between breakfast and breakfast. Breakfast is your cereal or whatever you eat in the morning prior to your lunch or whatever. And that's usually what you call breakfast. Breakfast, on the other hand, is a throw down breakfast meal that is just better than anything else, right?
Yes.
And who do you recall started us with the breakfast?
Our cuz.
Gary Cuz.
Mm-hmm.
He sure did.
Yes.
I came out to visit you in Vegas and he was there. And we were out playing the strip all night.
Yes.
He and I were having a little competition, which I won't go into details, but it was Las Vegas and we were having a competition, and I'm just going to leave it at that. I had to catch a plane at about 7 a.m. and it was like close to 4. And I was like, I need to go home and like go back to your place and pack my suitcase and get ready to go. And he's like, no, cuz let's go get breakfast.
We need breakfast first.
Get the breakfast. We went and found a little diner that was open. And we threw down on some straight up breakfast. And that's when I realized, yes, friends, there's a difference between breakfast and breakfast.
And breakfast. Indeed.
Love me breakfast.
Me too. And I miss my cuz.
I miss mine too. So I'm doing this one for him. I hope to throw down on a breakfast that he would sit down at the table, would want to sit down at the table and have a little conversation.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yes. Welcome back to Dishin with Sissy. Welcome to my kitchen. As we discussed, we are making a breakfast favorites. We'll call it that. Can be used as a brunch or a dinner as well as breakfast. This recipe is inspired, and I'm going to say inspired because I'm probably going to do it differently than what was originally planned. However, this recipe is coming from my mama Cindy. If you know me, that's my ex-mother-in-law who I love dearly. This is her recipe. I have all the ingredients that she said. I'm gonna cook it in an electric skillet, so I might do a little bit differently than her, so that's why I'm saying it's inspired. So here's some mama cook, and it's called Capita. And the name came from her brother, Uncle Tim. So I want to give a shout out to them. And so I'm going to get this together. This is a great brunch or breakfast skillet. I'm going to start with about half a stick of butter. I've got it set on 250 for right now. We'll see how it goes. The butter's melting. And I've got about a half of a large onion that I chopped up, diced in pretty good small slices. So I'm going to let the butter get hot. We're going to saute these onions until they're translucent.
We are doing breakfast. You could say breakfast for dinner. When we were growing up, my mom and or dad used to make breakfast for dinner. I'd say probably at least once every couple weeks. They worked different shifts. Mom was a nurse, dad was a law enforcement officer. So they were oftentimes working different shifts. So it would not be unusual for us to have pancake sandwiches or fried eggs or whatever you have for cereal, whatever breakfast food for our dinner. So tonight we are going to do breakfast for you. I'm doing my family's favorite breakfast casserole. My family loves this so much. Anytime one of the kids come home, this is the dish that's requested. And it's the one that I make at Christmas time. That's how special this dish is. Christmas morning, we do the orange rolls, which I've talked about in a previous video, and the breakfast casserole. So I'm gonna show you guys how to do my breakfast casserole. It's quick, it's easy, and you can prepare it in advance and just kind of throw everything together. I have already cooked up some hash brown potatoes. I like to brown them because they're gonna cook a little bit more in the oven, but I like them to have that brown, a little bit crunchy on it. So we're just gonna lay those down. I have a casserole dish that I've already sprayed with some nonstick cooking spray. And we're just gonna lay our potatoes in our casserole dish. And friends, I'm working on it, trying to learn to cook for two. So this recipe will actually feed 6 to 8. So I'm going to freeze some of this. It's very good to freeze. First layer is hash browns. On top of the hash browns, I have some browned turkey sausage. Now, turkey sausage in a roll, you can use regular breakfast sausage. I like to use a sage sausage now and then, but we are trying to eat a little healthier here at the Mag Mid Homestead, so I used turkey sausage and just drained off any little bit of grease there was. It's pretty lean, so there wasn't much. So we're just gonna put this over. I used some garlic powder, some onion powder, some ground white pepper, and some Himalayan sea salt for the potatoes while they were cooking. I didn't add anything to the ground breakfast turkey sausage. I just let that speak for itself. On top of this, we're going to add about, depending on the size of casserole, I'm thinking for this one, I probably need about 8 eggs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use probably 5 eggs, and I'm going to use the rest, I'm going to supplement with some egg whites. Again, a little bit healthier, but you're still going to get that full egg taste. Breakfast is absolutely my favorite meal of the day. I don't often get to eat it for dinner because my husband's not a big fan of the breakfast for dinner. And since it's only the two of us, I usually try to make something that both of us are going to enjoy. I've cracked 6 eggs. I'm going to beat them up a little bit. I'm going to add some egg whites. That was about a cup of egg whites. I'm just going to pour this over the casserole. My oven is preheating to 375, and we're going to toss this in for about, usually takes about 35-40 minutes. In that time, you can usually sit down and relax and have at least one good cup of coffee while you're making the breakfast casserole. But this is it. That's all we've got. We're going to toss it in. About halfway through, we're going to top it with some shredded cheese. I like to use a mixture of cheese, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. Let's get this in the oven.
All right, so the onions are simmering in the pan. I did leave it at the 250. They are getting translucent. I have here 4 potatoes. You want to use about 1 potato per person, possibly more. Depends on what you have as far as potatoes go. You can dice them, you can slice them, however you want to do it. I like to just cut the potato in half and then do big chunks. After you cut it in half, just do some good chunky. I like to get a good chunky potato bite. I got my potatoes here. I'm going to just dump them in there. I think I might turn the heat up a little bit. Let these get going until they are partially cooked. I turned up the heat a little bit, almost to 300, and I put the cover on to let those potatoes cook a little bit. I have here a pound of mild Italian sausage. I'm going to go ahead and scoot the potatoes to one side of the pan here, and I'm going to drop this sausage in there. I'm going to use the whole pound. I like leftovers, so I can feed my man in the morning without having to actually get up and cook something. Okay, so this is looking really good. I've got the sausage is almost cooked, and I've got it blended in cooking with the potatoes. So the little bit of grease from the sausage is going to flavor those potatoes deliciously. I want to add the secret ingredient right now before we go much further. The sausage is almost cooked, and the potatoes are almost tender. So the secret ingredient in this recipe is dillweed. And she said to put enough in there so that everything looks all green. So I'm gonna just cover this with some dillweed. It's gonna have, I think, a delicious flavor. So, oh yeah. All right. I put enough dillweed in there so that everything looks all green. I'm gonna put the lid back on and let it cook just a little bit. I did 5 eggs. I'm just gonna scramble them up, whisk them really good, and I'm gonna make some little spaces in here, about 3 little spaces. I'm just gonna go ahead and put some of the eggs here. Oh, it's just spreading out, so we'll just roll with it and see what happens. We're gonna let the eggs get all scrambledy. Oh boy.
We're gonna walk over here and take a look and see how our breakfast casserole is doing. It's doing very well. Let's take it out, and I'm thinking it only has a few more minutes, maybe 10, 12 more minutes to cook. So we'll go ahead and add the cheese to the top and let that get nice and melty. Yes, friends, that was a whole container of cheese. Because I know my Sissy's watching, and if she has cheese on hers, I want to make sure that I'm at least in the ballpark.
This is already shredded cheese. I cheated a little bit. Normally, I like to shred my own cheese. So I'm going to go ahead and use this. And I'm just going to cover the top of this capito with some cheese. Oh, yes. I'm going to put the lid on and let it melt. Hey, Sissy. Ooh. Done.
I had fun making this one. Lots of memories as I'm putting everything together, just thinking about just how many times I've made this and how often, and of course, you know, breakfast, and it just makes me smile.
Indeed. And I've had that, so I know how good it is. Yeah.
Well, you know what mine is, so why don't you share what yours is?
Okay, so mine is inspired by Mama Cook, who provided this recipe. And I'm sure that I didn't do it exactly like she used to do it. However, it does look pretty tasty. I don't know if we can see, but it's a delicious, whoops, it's gonna fall out the skillet. It's called capito.
Okay.
It's Italian sausage, potatoes, eggs, cheese, and it has dill is the secret recipe, secret ingredient.
Okay.
Yeah, it smells delicious and it looks fantastic. I'll put some pictures up there, but I haven't plated it yet.
Well, I haven't plated mine either. And well, it's breakfast food. So of course we're going to, do some crossing of paths, but basically it's the same thing I do, only in a different form. So that's fun. So of course, my breakfast casserole, it's the hash browns. I get them. Sometimes if the kids are here, we'll cut the potatoes and we'll make homemade hash browns. Most of the time I just get the ones in the refrigerator section, throw them in the pan. They're just as good. I use turkey breakfast sausage instead of regular breakfast sausage, or the sage breakfast sausage that I usually like, only because again, it's a little bit leaner. But it, and then of course the eggs, I used half eggs and I added some egg whites instead of using all regular eggs. But Sissy, when I was putting on the cheese, I did not want to disappoint you. This should be Denise approved.
It does look quite cheesy.
Shall I cut it and we'll see?
Oh, please do.
All right.
Yum.
I'm going to add
delicious.
a little bit of salt. I'm going to add a little bit of white pepper and some hot sauce, because you got to have the hot sauce.
Oh yeah. Oh, it looks so good.
And there it is, breakfast casserole.
Yum.
So did you plate some? I see you're chewing. You clearly plated something.
I did plate some. Again, it's an Italian sausage. You can use mild or hot, whatever you want. I use mild. And it's diced, cut up potatoes. I could have added more egg. I only put in 5 eggs, but I think I could have used another egg or 2 just to make it more eggy.
Okay.
Let's have breakfast.
Let's eat breakfast, Sissy, and let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Oh yeah. Yum.
This is good.
No doubt. No doubt.
I love it, sis. I thought, to be honest with you, I thought you were going to do like a French toast. You make a great French toast that you used when we did breakfast together for Christmas. When we were still in Florida, I'd make the breakfast casserole, and you made a French toast that just went with that Christmas bread. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought you were going to do. I'm glad we both did eggs.
It's the panettone bread, and I happen to have one sitting over here that I haven't cooked yet that I received as a Christmas gift. So
we're going to have to do something with that, huh?
We definitely will.
I'm up for it.
This is delicious. The Italian sausage gives it such a unique flavor.
Oh, yeah.
Aside from regular breakfast sausage,
So the sausage, do you take it out of the casing or do you just cut it up in the casing?
I bought it already ground up. It comes in it's already ground. But you can buy the kind, take it out of the casing, crumble it up.
But dill.
Potatoes.
And dill. That's
dill weed, yes. A lot of it. And probably according to Cindy, I may not have used quite as much as required. But again, I have not made this for a long time. So shout out to her for taking me down memory lane with this dish.
awesome.
Because it's good. Good.
That's what I love about this is, the memories that it inspires, and just, talking with you and sharing with you. And it's almost like we're cooking together and sharing a meal together. It's just, I love that we've been able to find this way to do this, even though we're hundreds of miles away.
I do too. I think it's fabulous.